really like dissecting scenes.
No,
I'm
no, no.
more, it's just like, hey, well, you know what made you decide to start improvising?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then yeah, and then that's about it, my friend.
Sounds good.
Um,
Maybe.
the best thing, the best thing about the whole coronavirus thing is actually getting to do things like this, where you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
play with people you just normally wouldn't get a chance to play with.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fun.
And I remember us talking a bit ago about like figuring out how to do a tour of some sort, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Where it's like, how can we like do
Do a
this?
tour
And
of Zoom.
yeah, now we're doing a Zoom tour, buddy. We've got, oh, buddy, we got 72 suggestions. So pick a number.
72.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
right.
Wow. Isn't that the number of virgins that suicide bombers can get when they go
Was
to?
was that it?
Yeah,
72?
I think they're allowed 72.
Oh, lucky.
Those lucky suicide
Those
bombers.
lucky suicide bombers. Yeah, pick a number.
Okay, 26.
9, 10, 11. All right, 12. Here we go. The best part is watching me count.
Hmm.
All right,
I'm
so
enjoying it. Your eye line looks like you're looking at a kind of abacus next to
I
your
know.
computer.
All right, let's see. So you said 22, right? 22?
26.
Oh, 26. Got it. 6,
26.
7,
Yeah.
8, 9, 10, 11. Here we go. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Here we go. Isn't this the most exciting part of your day right now?
Why aren't rocket launches like this? Instead of counting down, they should just count up.
I know. Everyone
And
feels
then when the rocket takes off, they should go 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20, 22, 23, 20. Their voice breaks.
20, 26. Boom. All right, hold on. 6, 7, 8. I'm confirming here. I'm doing it on my phone right now because it's more effective than doing it on my computer.
Gotcha.
Bu- bu-
Well, that's the way it's going. Everything's miniaturized now.
I mean, I've thought about getting rid of my laptop before the whole thing hit. And
Right,
then it was
right.
like, oh, you can't. I can't. There's no way. I need two computers to
Yeah,
make up
yeah,
for it.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Dun, dun, bum, bum, bum. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 3, 4, 5. Engine. Our suggestion is engine, my friend.
Engine, like the engine in a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle.
You all right?
Well, I mean, it just wouldn't start. The car wouldn't start.
I mean, hey, it's
I mean,
nobody's fault.
yeah.
It's nobody's fault. It just
No, 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 no. But
it's a wrench
okay,
in our plans.
yeah, yeah. I mean, do you think we did the right thing? I mean, we've left the others behind, and you know,
Hey, to each their own, man. Right? That's what we said going into this. To each their own. All right.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
we had to think on our feet. We had to improvise
Yeah,
in the moment, and I think that was
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like, if hey, what's worse, having all of us caught or just a couple of us? Right? It's
Exactly. Yeah,
collateral
yeah, yeah,
damage.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Boy, they
collateral
seem to really
damage.
want us to come back, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah. They were
They were.
screaming.
Yeah, yeah. You locked them in the car.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't want
Right.
to have anything go wrong. That was part of the plan. Now,
Oh, right.
keeping him in the car when
Right.
we were
Okay.
going to go, but the fact the car wouldn't go, I mean,
Okay.
we that was step one. Get in the car.
Right.
Step two, lock the doors, and then step
Okay.
three was go.
Right.
We couldn't get to
Okay.
step three.
Right. Okay. I didn't realize that we could get out of the car, and then you would lock them in the car after we got out. When we found that the car wouldn't start, and we
Yeah,
got out of the car, and then you locked them in, and
yeah.
then we ran.
Again, it was like I wanted to go back. The checklist
Yeah.
was very important, you
Yeah. Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
He said, make sure you go by the checklist. And I said, literally go by the checklist? And he said, if there's one thing, Alpha, today, you got to go by the checklist. So that's what I
Right.
did. And once I got out, I was like, oh, right, I got to lock the doors.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah, yeah,
important.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I thought they would follow us. I thought for sure it was like once the car wouldn't start, I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
then they'd come out, but like they stayed in the car.
They did stay in the car. We were going so well. Like it's like we pretended to be a family looking to buy a new car, and then we got in the car, and then the engine of the car wouldn't start. Maybe that's what they're like in car showrooms is the engines in them don't work.
I mean,
Because you just get in the car to see what the car's like, and then they give you a car that actually works. Do you know what I mean? We got in, it might have just been a display car, and we tried to steal and now
not,
Billy and Jane are dressed like children stuck inside a car. And, I'm going to take this dress off. And it's going to get this
Nadia.
bra off. And,
I mean, ow, 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 ow.
yeah, yeah.
Now that you say it, it makes a
Because
lot.
you've already got a moustache, and to put that
But
moustache
look,
over the other.
it's slightly bigger. I mean, same color. I'm not a fool. Same color.
Take this wig off.
Now that you mention it, it does make more sense that they don't put an engine in the display cars because, you can't even start it up in the showroom.
No, no, yeah, that's.
Well, let's look at
I
the
mean,
positive.
one of the other cars we could have stolen a car that was already outside as well, because I don't know we were getting it down the stairs, and I mean, I guess we would have just had to smash through that glass, but just getting it downstairs would be.
Well, if he thought it was important enough, it would have been on the list. He would have said, step one,
Yeah.
car, definitely in the parking lot, not in the display room. Like that would have been on the like that's not our fault at all, man.
Can I say something?
Now's the time.
We really were a married couple.
We got married, dude.
What? I thought that was like a rehearsal.
No, it's legally binding.
That guy was. What the guy with the dog collar was.
Yeah, he's
Right.
the judge.
So he wasn't in on it.
Well, he was in on the marriage part, but not in on the what we're trying to do. No, we're
Oh,
married,
wow.
man.
Hey man, I planned another job with him because I thought he was kind of one of us. He and I are going to steal some money from some slot machine. Well, maybe we're not now because he might not want to do that. I assumed he was, one of us.
What, you don't want to spend more time at home with me? Like, why?
No, no, no. I just wanted
Is that good
to.
enough?
Well, no, in a way, this is. I just wanted to say you were really, really believable as a husband to a fictitious criminal woman
I,
like myself.
I think you were real in those moments.
So
There
did
is
I.
there is there
That's
something
what
you're
I'm
not
saying.
getting from this, from me? Is there something I could do to be a better fictitious husband?
I really enjoyed the raid. The excitement. My heart was all giddy and a flutter, and it wasn't just the fear of imprisonment and the penal system. It was excitement of being with you. I've never felt closer to you.
But you said enjoyed, past tense. I get it. Hey, I know it's things probably move too fast. I'm older than you, and I know what I want, and obviously it's put you in a tough situation. I just, you,
Not
when you
at all.
when you find someone
Not
you
at all.
connect with, you okay.
No, 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 no. I thought that's what you felt about me. I thought you thought it was just just an arrangement that would just last the length of this job and then just disappear,
I
like Kaiser Sose.
I did it first, but being with you has been, I mean, it's been the happiest 4 days of my life. Don't let this go now, Samantha. Do not let this go.
That diagram you drew of the car dealership
Yeah.
is inside a tiny heart necklace that I'm still wearing. I needed it to refer to just in case I forgot what the plan was, but also it was a little piece of you that I could carry with me. We're not a fictional husband and wife. We're a real husband and wife.
That's what I want. That's all I've ever wanted in these past 4 days. That's all I've ever wanted you to say.
I've read the signs. I should have been more sensitive to your needs. I should have known that that's where you wanted to go with this. I just thought it was a fiscal arrangement that we would buy a family car and then just give it to a family rather than be the family who has the family car.
Yes. And I thought the same thing at first, but then as it progressed, as our relationship grew, this is destiny. This is meant to be, Samantha. We're meant to be a family. We are a family. Don't you let that go. Do you know how many people in this world scream out to find someone they connect with? It doesn't matter whether it's on a fictitious situation, whether it's in a job, or whether it's at a bar. You have people who long for that. I've longed for that.
I've longed for that.
So what is stopping you? Say
Nothing.
yes.
I do say yes, 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 and 3 times yes. 4, including the first one. Let's go on a honeymoon together. Let's steal a plane.
Do you mean that?
Yes.
Don't you say that if you don't mean it.
No, I do.
I'd rather have you say it and mean it than say it and not mean it and have me question if you mean it or not. If you mean it, I'm hearing it. If you don't mean it, I won't hear it.
No, I mean it. I mean it. We're in some of the first stages of our relationship, but in a way, I mean, think about it. Our kids have already grown up and left home,
Yes.
or have possibly gone to some institute of correction.
I mean, either way,
We're free.
we're empty nesters, Samantha. We are empty nesters. The first time in our relationship, we can just focus on us and not be defined by our children who may or may not be incarcerated.
Yes. Yes. Let us move forward. Let us leave behind, like scorched earth, our pasts.
Yes.
I will tell my wife that I'm leaving today with you to be your wife.
Yes, you are my wife. And maybe one day in the future, who knows when, she and I can have an amicable relationship. Maybe at some point, some down the road that might happen. But I want to focus on us right now together, the two of us.
I'd like that.
Come here. Oh, you're trembling.
I am. Wow, that went on a long time. I had to come up for air.
Time stands still when I'm with you, Samantha.
You called me Samantha, my fake name. I love you too, Donnie.
You called me Donnie. My fake name.
I wonder what time the cops are going to get here. Let's
Huh?
split.
Yeah. Let's get out of here. Scene! Brilliant. Brilliant, dude. So fun, man.
They were in love.
Oh, I'm still there.
Yeah.
How did you get in improv? We've known each other almost 20 years now. I think it was like
We met
2001.
in, yeah, we met in, I've got a picture of it somewhere. We met in Montreal, didn't we?
I'll never forget it. Like we met at the story. Here's what happened: is I had moved to Montreal and I had stopped improvising. I had worked for Club
Oh,
Med. Yeah, I had improvised since I was 21. I got real
right.
burnt out, so I took a break. I ended up working at Club Med, which is an all-inclusive resort. I was playing the village
Yeah,
entertainer. I moved to Montreal with someone. We were going to
right,
get married.
right.
And I was walking down the street during Just for Laughs in Montreal, and somebody goes, "Do you want to see competitive improv?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not. No,
No,
I've done it." And they go, "Just take these tickets." And I looked, and it was a show starting in 10 minutes. I'm like, "Let me see if I haven't improvised in a while. Let me just see if I can play along." And I go there, and it's 2 teams. And the first team was my buddy Bill Cott, who I did a 2-man
yeah.
show with for years.
Oh,
And
right,
then
wow.
So I was like, what the hell is going on? And then Rachel Hamilton, who we were all in a group together. And
Wow.
then the setup was teams, and each team had a coach.
Yeah, yeah.
And you were the coach of the
As the
team.
coach of the English team. Yeah, yeah.
You had a straw hat. I'll never forget. You had
I
like a
did.
straw
Yeah,
hat
yeah.
on. You were
Yeah,
very polite, and it
yeah.
made me laugh so. Your character, man, to me, I'll never forget that character. It stole the show for me. So watching that, I was just
Wow.
blown away. It was like, and it was like 3 hours of short form was the
Yeah,
show I
yeah,
saw. It
yeah.
was huge,
Yeah,
and
theatre sports basically, or
yeah.
comedy sports, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
the same thing. But your character, dude, was so
Oh,
funny because
thanks.
you would ask the referee for things in a very polite way, and I think you might have had a cane as well.
I think I
Like,
did, yeah. Like I might have had a monocle.
yeah, you had a monocle too, and I was like, I don't know who that guy is, but he's making me fucking laugh. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we
And
met
then there was a
them.
big party in a hotel room. I've got like a picture of you're in it, I'm in it. We're like on a bed, and like all the New York team are there, and Bill's there, and like everyone's. And there was a big party in this hotel room. I met a girl from Montreal at that festival, so I went back a couple of times subsequently that year, and she came to the UK and stuff.
Wow,
Yeah, yeah.
what?
So I met a girl there in that festival.
My God, dude! First off, that is what improviser who is single hasn't dreamed of meeting someone
I know. Yeah,
at a
yeah.
festival, and you did it. What brought you into improv? Like,
Yeah,
how did you get started?
it was sort of I just left college. I mean, maybe like I'd been out 2 months or something in 1987, and so this before mobiles, and the landline in my flat went, and it was this woman that I didn't really know. She was a friend of a friend. She was my
Yeah.
friend Miranda's friend, called X. Must have been Xanthi or something, but she called herself X. And she went, "Hello, Phil. It's Miranda's friend X. Do you know what impro is?" And I went, because I was at sort of drama school, so I know that, I knew you improvise scenes, and also like people had Keith Johnston's Impro was a
Yeah.
big book at college. Everyone was
Yeah.
reading it,
Yeah. That was my first
Uh,
improv book. That was the
yeah,
first book I read.
yeah. So people knew. So I knew that you mucked around in when you were devising a play or rehearsing a play. So I knew what improvisation meant in terms of the dictionary and Keith Johnston. But she went, "Okay, well, put it this way. Do you want to be in a show at the Donmar Warehouse?" And the Donmar Warehouse was a West End theatre, still
Wow.
is, big West End theatre. And I was like, "Wait, fuck yeah, God, yeah, definitely." And she went, "Well, there's this, I thought of you because, you're an actor, but also you just say funny things socially, And there's a meeting at 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon at the Donmar Warehouse for this new show they're going to do." And what it was the woman who ran the Donmar Warehouse, who's now a big West End theatre producer called Nika Burns. She had seen the format theatre sports in Sydney. In a
Ah,
theatre in Sydney, and she went, "I'd love to put that in my theatre late night on a Saturday night on the set of whatever play is on there."
oh, cool.
And there was really kind of no impro in London at the time, apart from the Comedy Store players who had started maybe 2 years previously.
Yeah.
Um, and so I went to this meeting, and there was probably, maybe 15 people there, and there were some guys from probably the next generation after Keith Johnston's impro sort of group. There's an impro group in the sort of 70s and 80s called Omelette Broadcasting Company. And
Mm.
there are a couple of guys from that there. And then there was another show that this Canadian living in London, Alan Marriott, who had done theatre sports in Vancouver. He
Yeah.
put on a show at the Edinburgh Festival called Hamlet Improvised. And he'd got young English actors to be that in 86. So quite a
Wow.
lot of them were there. And then there was just a little bunch of people who hadn't done any impro, and I was one of them. And they basically just went, like planning a bank raid or something, was going, in 3 weeks' time on Saturday, the something of something. It was kind of the autumn, so probably like November. We're going to do the first night of this show, and we're going to do 6 shows up to Christmas, and then we're going to do 8 shows after Christmas.
On the West
And
End. On the
yeah,
West End.
just start bang at the top. And it really did. Like the first show, there was an audience of maybe 90. And the next show, there was like, 150. Next show, 250. Next show, 400. And it was 400 every week.
Wow.
you know. And I still know Alan Marriott, and in fact, I work a lot with Alan Marriott. And Alan, as one of the people who'd never done it really before, Alan didn't think I was all that good. But there was one guy, I'd done a lot of kind of mime stuff, and in a
Oh,
lot of the improv workshops, I sort of mimed things. And I'd also done stuff at Le Coq and with Philippe Gaulier
yeah,
and stuff like
yeah.
that. So I was kind of into the physical thing. And there was a guy from Omelette Broadcasting, Justin Case, his name was.
Shut up. Shut up.
This is her stage name. I don't know what his real name is. Graham something. But
Cracker? Graham Cracker?
was, he was my sponsor, and he went, "Oh no, I think Phil Whelans has got something. I like the physical stuff he does."
Wow.
But Alan was going, "No, I don't think he's very good. I don't think." And I hold that against Alan to this day. Despite that we work together all the time. We have an improv group, Grand Theft Improv. So that was it, and I did. I probably made my debut in about the sort of 5th or 6th show. So by the time it was already playing to like 400, and I remember just being terrified.
Yes.
And it was quite late as well. It was like, because it was after the main show, it was about 10:30, so we had to get to the theatre about half past 9 at night. So I had a long day to just sort of walk and pace around and panic. I remember like going, should I listen to like comedy albums to get myself in the mood? You know, should I put on, Wild and Crazy Guy or something just to get myself? Should I watch some funny films? How do I get in the mood to do this thing? And I think the one thing that, not patting myself on the back, but I think one thing of, having some performing experience and performing chops that held me in good stead is that I didn't come on much. I only came on when I felt I could help. I really stayed off. And I remember I did one thing that Alan, I was on Alan's team. I think Alan thought I was so shit that I should be on his team so that he could protect me.
He could save you.
I did like one good thing in the show, but it was definitely good, and it got a big laugh. And Alan was like, "Oh, you're okay now." And in fact, we did this, the London Mime Festival was this big thing. And early 88, he got that show, Hamlet Improvised, into the London Mime Festival, playing at quite big theatres. And I was in the cast of that. But as part of the arrangement, they wanted 3 of us to basically go and busk in the Royal Festival Hall foyer.
Yes.
For like a 45-minute show. So it's just like 2 kind of shitty banners saying London Mime Festival, and then 3 guys dicking about in a really echoey room. The people that have got to go and watch an opera or watch that stuff. And he asked me to do that.
Yes.
So just 3 of us were supposed to do a 45-minute set. And we wrote a little set list, and the first game was freeze tag, or switch,
Yeah.
And we ended up doing 45 minutes just of freeze tag.
Brilliant.
I really felt it was a baptism of fire, because actually about 10 people were standing around watching us. After a while, it was like 40 people watching us.
Yeah.
After a while, there's like 150 people standing in a big circle watching us, and all we did was freeze tag, and with only 3 of us. So there's only one person to shout freeze and go in, and it was like a baptism of fire. I felt that like my impro jumped a whole extra level in just those, because we did 2 nights and I did both of them. Alan and I did both of them, and 2 different guys with a 3rd guy in there. And I felt that was a baptism of fire. I felt that like, it really gave me a huge amount of confidence to just be the 3rd person in a freeze tag and play it for 45 minutes. You've got to go in, man. You've got to go in.
You have to.
And all your ideas are out.
Yeah.
You've got to go in anyway. And just see what the position suggests,
It's funny you say that, because I was just talking to my friend Kevin Riom yesterday, who he says his advice to groups when they're like in classes and they're like, we want to start like performing outside, what can we do? He goes, you should do an hour of freeze tag, because it'll get you out of your bits and you're forced to go in, and that's the best training for doing shows in the future is to play that game and get used to it, to going in when you got nothing and you got to go in.
I still remember one where really early on in theatre sports, when you know, people were in the early days, people are almost like cataloguing every
Yeah.
joke for a certain physical position that they've
Yeah.
got. But when you burst through that and you can't do shtick anymore, you've just got to go in. I remember me and Neil Ashdown doing freeze tag, and we've been going on for a while. So Luke Sorber shouted out freeze, and he clearly had no idea what to do, but he went in, and Neil had his hands like this, and so Luke took the position, and he just went, you could see his mind just had nothing in it, and he went, I'm stealing your thoughts. I'm stealing your thoughts. And it just brought the house down because the audience could see it was real. But he really had dragged it out of his subconscious, you know.
They discovered it when he did.
Yeah. That moment, you know.
Oh, that's great. Dude, it reminds me of the days of Edinburgh where you had to go and busk on the corner and you're like, how do we get a crowd? How do we get a crowd? And what can you do? And like you said, the baptism by fire, it's like you could take classes and read all the books you want. You got to get in front of people. You got to be in those moments of like, man, that didn't work. You got to be in those moments of like, I got very little, but I'm going to sell it. Like those are all ways to get better and to improve. But nothing does more than, you know, more help than just performing and doing it. You got to do it.
Yeah. And be just really go on.
Yeah.
You know, the better you get, it's not that you're thinking of things faster. It's that time slows down for you when you get better at it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, when we from theatre sports, that's where everything sprang from. So me and a guy there, we met and formed a double act that went on the comedy circuit. So I was earning a bit of money. You know, it was kind of improv-y, but a lot of it was scripted. It was kind of a scripted act, but with loose bits. And then a bunch of us formed a group to do long narrative improv called Spontaneous Combustion. I now kind of write narrative for TV and radio, and two of us have become novelists. And it all came out of doing narrative improv. You know, we were doing short form with theatre sports on my warehouse. So we formed a group to do something a bit different, with some narrative. So we would do shows where we do the games, you know, we do corporate gigs, Spontaneous Combustion we would call them. We do corporate gigs, we play the games, we do freeze tag, dice on a roller coaster, all of those. But then we try, you know, make up an hour-long narrative story with interweaving strands and stuff like that.
Oh, that's great.
But the same ethos goes to all of those things, you know.
Yeah.
I remember someone doing doing an interview, you know, about impro with someone who kind of went, what's your favorite game? And I said freeze tag, and he went, that's really surprising because, you know, it seems that you're really into narrative impro and, you know, creating building blocks and sustaining plots and sustaining characters, whereas freeze tag sort of, you know, is quite destructive. It's about creating something and then knocking it down. And I'm like, yeah, but I'll play it all day because it's really fun. You know?
And that's why we do it.
Grand Theft Impro, we sort of hate, the improv group I'm in now, we're really bad at warming up. We hate warming up, but we do quite esoteric sort of impro, I guess.
Yeah.
They're short scenes, but they don't have any handles, and they, you know, so they're just open scenes. But we very often play freeze tag in front of the audience because it warms us up.
I love it. I think it's the best. I do think if you could play freeze tag, you could do any genre, you could do any format of improv, anything at all. Like you could do anything if you can play that game. And for me, it's also an editing game. It's really a game about editing more than anything else. And then going.
Yeah. And those kind of hard nuts and bolts of who, what, and where.
Yeah.
Establish your platform and stuff. You know, when I teach, I always sort of dread teaching the real nuts and bolts, who, what, and where, because it is quite hard work for students. You know, and I find freeze tag's a really good way in.
Totally.
You know, it's a good way in because you can do it for a bit and then stop and go, you know, we saw some of those, they were just sort of, they did one thing with the physical position and that was it, and that's fine. But a couple of those, you could see that there was potential for the scene to carry on.
Yes.
Why was there that potential? And people go, well, because we knew who they were and we knew where they were. And you're like, that's it.
It's doing the work for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
where can people, if they want to connect with you, like follow what you're doing online, or like follow your shows, or teach, or
Yeah.
reach out to you? What's the best way they can do that?
Uh, and, my improv group is called Grand Theft Impro, so like Grand Theft Auto, but Grand Theft Impro, and we have a website, and I think it's just grandtheftimpro.com. And then I'm at Phil Whelans on Twitter, PHI1LWHELANS on Twitter, and that might be about it. Facebook, Phil Whelans, and that's it really.
Well, dude, I can't wait to play with you in person, also
Yeah, yeah,
virtual. We're gonna do this again. Thanks for
yeah.
taking time out, man. It was fun catching up with you and so
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
playing with you.
We must have our improv group with Alan Hawkins and Bill Cott in it. We
Oh,
must do a
dude,
gig.
let's set it up. The four of us. Let's do something.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah,
reach
yeah,
out. I'll reach out. I know Bill's down. He's always down to play. So yeah,
yeah, yeah.
let's do one of those.
And I haven't been. I spent all my, disposable income in the last sort of few years on like scuba diving holidays. I became obsessed with it. But I want to like come to the States and just hang out, and do
Yeah.
that. Oh
Well,
God, I did an improv festival in Estonia last September. It's great. The Tilt
oh
Festival.
yeah, it's amazing. It's a great
Really
festival.
fantastic.
It's so
Rahel Lotz organizes it,
yeah.
and Maria, I forgot Maria's surname. They're wonderful people. It's a brilliant festival. Loved it. Loved
Well, when we get back to traveling and back to things
it.
like
Yeah,
that, we'll connect on a festival
yeah.
at some point too. Oh, good seeing you, brother. We'll talk soon.
See you, Jay.
Bye, buddy.
See you then.